Continuing from the previous episode 527. Chapter 1456. 9 Ying Yellow Spring Pill. Why? Xiao Yan was slightly startled after hearing Yao Lao's words. Don't tell me that you think that nothing will go wrong while subduing the purifying demonic lotus flame just because you have reached the Do Sheng class, do you? Yao Lao's eyes were a little strange as he looked at Xiao Yan and laughed. You can't even do this? The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth twitched. Swallowing a heavenly flame that was ranked near the end would no longer significantly raise his strength, yet Yao Lao was currently saying that this strength was still insufficient. Want this a little too shocking? Oh, there is only one of each of the top 3 heavenly flames on the heavenly flame ranking. How could it be so easy to subdue this type of divine object that has terrified all beings? Yao Lao shook his head and softly sighed. I have read some ancient texts while you were in your retreat. The texts briefly mention some information related to the purifying demonic lotus flame. The demon flame appears once every 1,000 years, but no one has been able to subdue it even now. You should be able to understand a little more from this. Xiao Yan's expression changed. He tilted his in agreement. The birth of the purifying demonic lotus flame would attract the peak experts of this world, but no one successfully tamed it even with its many appearances. This alone was enough to prove just how frightening it was. Since those peak experts had ended up failing, Xiao Yan would not be able to subdue it with his 1-star initial level Do Sheng strength. You must prepare to subdue the purifying demonic lotus flame. Yao Lao's expression was grave as he spoke. Xiao Yan already boasted the strength of a Do Sheng. If he were given an ordinary heavenly flame to swallow, his strength wouldn't rise much, so if he wished to significantly raise his strength again, he would need to search for the top 3 heavenly flames. Does that 9 Serene spring have anything we need? Xiao Yan asked. Aye. Yao Lao slowly nodded. He clenched his hand, and an ancient dark red scroll appeared in it. A wave of cold ripples spread the moment the scroll appeared. These ripples filled the surrounding air. It was as though a cold sea of clouds had appeared. This scroll was quite mysterious. This is a Tier 9 medicinal formula that I spent a lot price to obtain. It is called the 9 Yin Yellow Spring Pill. While you are subduing the purifying demonic lotus flame, you can insert it into the purifying demonic lotus flame's body. The extreme yin force will weaken the demon flame, increasing the chances of successfully subduing it. Yao Lao rubbed this ancient scroll. He had paid a large price for this medicinal formula in order to take it from the hands of an alchemist guru. However, you need a key ingredient in order to refine this 9 Yin Yellow Spring Pill. That ingredient is the spring blood crystal. This spring blood crystal only forms at the bottom of the spring. Hence, you must make a trip to the 9 Serene spring within these 9 months. There you need to obtain a spring blood crystal and then find time to refine a 9 Yin Yellow Spring Pill. Only by doing this will you have a higher chance of subduing the purifying demonic lotus flame. Xiao Yan's eyes looked at the ancient dark red scroll. He slowly nodded a moment later. The purifying demonic lotus flame was really too important to him. Therefore, he needed to obtain it regardless of what happened. If he failed this time around, waiting another 1,000 years for the demon flame to appear again would be extremely difficult for him. It has been many years since I have prepared something in order to swallow a heavenly flame. Xiao Yan softly sighed after receiving the ancient dark red scroll. He had only refined some medicinal pills to swallow a heavenly flame when he had swallowed the green lotus core flame and the falling heart flame. Since then, he had simply swallowed the other heavenly flames he found. There was no need to prepare anything. It was unexpected that he needed to perform these old steps again. There is no other way. The purifying demonic lotus flame is not something the 3,000 burning flame can compare with. Just imagine what kind of great being the purifying demonic lotus saint was. It was rumored that his death was because of a backlash from the purifying demonic lotus flame. Yao Lao explained. Oh. Xiao Yan's heart quivered after hearing this rumor. His face revealed a solemn expression. That purifying demonic lotus saint was at least a 9-star Do Sheng. Even such an expert ended up dying to the purifying demonic lotus flame. His 1-star Do Sheng strength was really insufficient. Looks like I must prepare this 9 Yin Spring Pill. Xiao Yan slowly nodded. He immediately said, Is the 9 Serene spring managed by the 9 Serene deep ground python? Aye. The 9 Serene spring is located deep underground. That place is the territory of the 9 Serene deep ground python. They view that place as a holy ground. Any 9 serene deep ground python that is about to advance in rank will soak inside it. Soaking will smooth their breakthrough. However, the spring water in the 9 serene deep ground python has a dark and cold affinity. It is a mysterious training ground for snake magical beasts that are of this affinity. However, even I do not dare to venture deep into it because the 9 serene spring is too dark and cold. Yao Lao spoke in a solemn voice. Fortunately, you possess 4 types of heavenly flames. With the heavenly flames protecting your body, you should be able to reach the deepest part of the 9 serene spring to obtain the spring blood crystals. That place can be also considered a sacred ground to Kai Lin. A 7-colored heaven-swallowing python is a divine snake species, while the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python is an existence comparable to the ancient heaven python king. If Kai Lin is able to successfully evolve within the 9 serene spring, her strength will undoubtedly soar. Yao Lao smiled and said, if she evolves into a 9-colored heaven-swallowing python, the snake form that she can transform will be able to devour an entire mountain range. It will even be able to devour the sky itself. Xiao Yan nodded. The 7-colored heaven-swallowing python was by itself rare, but the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python was even rarer. Even during ancient times, it had sparingly appeared. He would not doubt Kai Lin's strength after she successfully evolved. Since the 9 serene spring is managed by the 9 serene deep ground python, they will naturally stop us from entering. Xiao Yan voiced his thoughts. The 9 serene deep ground python was also one of the 3 great tribes within the magical beast world. Their strength could not be underestimated. There would definitely be true peak experts present. It was likely that this trip would not be relaxing. With your current strength, there are extremely few in the 9 serene deep ground python tribe that can defeat you. Those old demons that hide themselves will not appear often. Of course, should that really happen, you can tear the spatial token. I will frequently be with Ancestor Hu Yun during this period of time. We will hurry over if we are summoned. With the current strength of our Sky Mansion alliance, we have nothing to fear from them. Yao Lao laughed. Xiao Yan smiled after hearing Yao Lao's words. The Falling Star Pavilion might not be comparable to the 9 serene deep ground python tribe, but the alliance had formed. With the alliance's strength, there was no longer a need for them to be afraid of the 9 serene deep ground python tribe. In that case, we should leave tomorrow since we are pressed for time. Xiao Yan also understood that they were a little tight in terms of time. They were approaching the time when the purifying demonic lotus flame would appear. He needed to refine the 9 yin spring pill before that event happened. Otherwise, if he ended up failing to subdue the purifying demonic lotus flame, he would not even be able to regret failing. You can rest assured that I will ensure that the matters of the alliance are taken care of. Yao Lao smiled and nodded. The moment the sky turned bright the next morning, Xiao Yan led Kai Lin, the little fairy doctor, and Qing Tan out of the Falling Star Pavilion. They hurried to the Beast region. This was not the first time Xiao Yan had headed to the Beast region, so he was quite familiar with the route. His strength had soared. Naturally, his speed was many times faster. The journey, which would have taken a couple of days in the past, was made in half a day. Xiao Yan's group did not stay in one place for long after having entered the Beast region. They headed to the region where the 9 serene deep ground python tribe was. The true settlement of the 9 serene deep ground python tribe was deep underground, even though they had many branches on the surface. The numbers that this tribe boasted could be ranked at the top of the 3 large clans, but its large numbers resulted in its bloodline becoming impure. Based on the estimation of the elders of the 9 serene deep ground python, the ancient bloodline of all the tribe members of the 9 serene deep ground python would be exhausted within 100 years if this continued. At that time, the 9 serene deep ground python would end up in a situation where they were similar to an ordinary magical beast. Many arguments happened within the 9 serene deep ground python tribe because of this matter. However, without the supplement of an ancient bloodline, it was only a matter of time for that day to come at the rate they bred. The 9 serene ground abyss was a key tunnel that led into the underground world. It was also occupied by the 9 serene deep ground python tribe. Hence, the defenses were quite tight, but these tight defenses were something that only deterred ordinary experts. With Xiao Yan's current strength, such a defenses would not even be able to detect his figure. Xiao Yan's group appeared on top of a mountain a short distance away from the deep abyss. Xiao Yan glanced at the tight defenses, only to shake his head. He was just about to activate the spatial strength to bring everyone into the deep abyss when the rushing sound of wind was suddenly emitted a short distance away. A couple of figures flashed and hurried over from the horizon. They appeared above the deep abyss within a couple of flashes. These people, they seems to be members of the ancient Void Dragon tribe? Xiao Yan looked at the few figures as surprise flashed across his face. There was a tendril of Dragon Phoenix bloodline inside his body. Naturally, he had a special ability to sense the blood of an ancient Void Dragon, but he was surprised to find that he would meet members of the ancient Void Dragon tribe in this place. Could it be that Yan has sent them? However, she should be out resolving the matters of the other 3 great dragon kings. Why would she dispatch people to the 9 Serene deep ground python tribes since they have no relation with them? Xiao Yan frowned. A thought quickly passed through his heart as a fluctuation spread from his body. This fluctuation swiftly spread apart. Soon after this fluctuation spread, a halting voice was transmitted into his ear through the air. Dragon King, dispatch. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 528. Chapter 1457. The Situation of the Dragon Tribe. Dragon King? Xiao Yan's expression changed after hearing this term. He naturally understood that the ancient Void Dragon tribe had been divided into 4 factions. Other than the Eastern Dragon Island that Yan occupied, the other 3 large dragon islands were all being controlled by 3 great dragon kings. This title, Dragon King, was only used to address those 3 island chiefs since they possessed great power. They are not people sent by Yan. Instead, they are from the other 3 large dragon islands. Xiao Yan frowned. He had not received any news related to the ancient Void Dragon tribe after having left the Eastern Dragon Island back then. The island was located within the empty space. Regardless of how intense the battle that erupted between them was, it would not be able to reach the Central Plains. It was likely that no one other than the ancient Void Dragon tribe themselves knew that they were in a civil war. I wonder which Dragon King has sent these people. They have left empty space to come to the 9 Serene deep ground python tribe. It is likely that they are up to something. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. Yan should have successfully exited her retreat after so many years. After she exited her retreat, she would definitely need to resolve the civil war of the ancient dragon tribe. However, if she wished to unite the ancient dragon tribe, she needed to first finish off the 3 great dragon kings. Although Xiao Yan did not know how strong the 3 great dragon kings were, they were definitely genuine Dou Shengs. Nevertheless, Xiao Yan did not know just how many stars they had reached. It looks like I need to find time to enter the empty realm and investigate. Yan's strength might have soared after her retreat with the help of the Dragon Phoenix bloodline, but those 3 great dragon kings are also quite extraordinary. I must head over and lend her a hand. Xiao Yan muttered to himself within his heart. Moreover, if the ancient Void Dragon tribe was successfully united again, its strength would definitely soar. With his relationship with Yan, he would be able to pull the ancient Void Dragon into the alliance. At that time, forget about the Hall of Souls, even the Hun clan would not dare to underestimate them. Xiao Yan's eyes looked at those few figures from afar. The few of them chatted with some leaders at the deep abyss before the leaders of the abyss opened a path and allowed this group to enter. The ancient Void Dragon tribe usually looks down on the other magical beast tribe. I wonder why this Dragon King has dispatched people here. Xiao Yan frowned. He immediately waved his sleeve. A rich spatial force spread and wrapped around Kai Lin's group. After which, space shook as everyone disappeared. A couple of figures were rapidly rushing toward the dark underground. These few figures were quite strong. Moreover, their physical bodies also appeared extremely powerful. They did not unleash any Dou Qi. Their bodies were like falling stars that flew underground. The sound of whistling wind continued to appear. Commander Qin, I wonder if we will get a reply from the 9 Serene deep ground python tribe this time around. If they are willing to lend a hand, we will be able to completely defeat the Eastern Dragon Island and be victorious in this war. A man turned his head while descending. He asked a large man, who was a short distance in front of him, a question. This person was clearly quite powerful. Even though the sound of the wind was extremely loud, his voice still managed to be transmitted into the large man's ear. We should be able to succeed. Our northern dragon island once possessed the essence blood left behind by the ancient heaven serpent. These 9 serene deep-ground pythons are going crazy while searching for things that possess their ancient bloodline. Additionally, we have agreed to provide them with all sorts of benefits. They will definitely not be able to reject us. The large man in front had a square face and extremely thick eyebrows. He vaguely emitted a pressure. Clearly, he was someone who was usually in a position of authority. However, there is a true dragon emperor on the eastern dragon island. A man hesitated for a moment before speaking. The royal bloodline within the ancient void dragon tribe pressed upon an ordinary warrior. Just thinking about their enemy being an ancient dragon that possessed a genuine royal bloodline would cause the hearts of ordinary ancient dragon warriors to feel a little unnatural. It is pointless to say all of this. Moreover, who knows if it is the truth? The Dragon King is someone with a genuine royal bloodline. We only need to listen to his orders. That large man knit his brows as he replied in a deep voice. Understood. Those people from earlier could only submissively agree upon hearing the large man's words. HMPH. That large man called Commander Chin coldly snorted in his heart. His huge hand was waved. He was just about to increase his speed when he saw a couple of figures in the air a short distance below. His indifferent eyes slowly swept over them. These are not members of the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe. Be careful. That large man was a cautious person. He cried out in a deep voice after seeing those few figures. His muscles began to tense up at the same time as he prepared to enter a battle-ready condition. Those in front, get lost. Commander Chin clenched his fist as he cried out in a cold voice. Stay here. I have some things to ask. A skinny figure from that group slowly lifted his head when he heard the cold cry. That person was Xiao Yan. At this moment, he had lifted his hand and clenched it in Commander Chin's direction. Attack! Commander Chin's expression became cold after seeing Xiao Yan lift his hand. A majestic Do Qi immediately surged out of his body. However, this Do Qi had just surged when he was stunned to discover that the surrounding space had completely solidified. They were just like puppets being controlled by another and had lost all ability to resist. They slowly descended and stopped in front of the skinny figure. Who are you? We are members of the ancient Void Dragon tribe. A great storm rose within Commander Chin's heart after seeing that Xiao Yan's random attack could restrain all of them. He was a 5-star Do Zun no matter how one put it. However, this strength did not pose the slightest resistance to the hands of the person in front of him. Are you people from the Northern Dragon Island, Southern Dragon Island, or Western Dragon Island? Xiao Yan glanced at Commander Chin and asked in a faint voice. Commander Chin's eyes immediately shrank after hearing this question. Only the clan members were aware that the ancient Void Dragon tribe had split into 4 islands. How did this human, who had suddenly appeared, know such a secret? I do not know what you are talking about. Commander Chin did not reveal anything despite feeling shocked in his heart. Instead, he simply cried out in a stern voice. Xiao Yan was expressionless. His finger gently pressed on Commander Chin. A bloody hole appeared on his body with a bang. Blood immediately flowed from it. Commander Chin's blood was like a small stream as dripped into the abyss. You! Commander Chin's body trembled after suffering this attack. His eyes furiously glared at Xiao Yan. Bang bang bang. Xiao Yan's expression did not fluctuate because of Commander Chin's unyielding attitude. Xiao Yan continuously pressed down with his finger. One bloody hole after another blasted apart Commander Chin's body. In an instant, fresh blood covered Commander Chin's body. That appearance caused a couple of people's scalp to turn numb. The body of an ancient void dragon was extremely strong, but this strong physical body seemed just like the weakest bean curd in the hands of this young man. Every finger could create a hole in it. According to the rate of the blood flowing out of your body, you will completely lose all the blood within your body within 5 minutes. You should be aware of the final fate of an ancient void dragon who has completely exhausted its blood, right? Xiao Yan indifferently explained the situation. Commander Chin coldly trembled after hearing this explanation. The strength of the ancient void dragon was similar to other ancient magical beasts. All of their strength originated from their bloodline. If their blood was exhausted, they would become vulnerable. Even if one were able to regain one's strength in the future, one's strength would still gradually weaken. This was something that ancient dragon warriors, who desired strength, were unable to endure. We are from the Northern Dragon Island. Who exactly are you? Our Northern Dragon Island has never offended a strong person like you. Commander Qin inhaled a deep breath of air and finally replied in a hoarse voice. What is the current situation of the ancient void dragon like? Xiao Yan slowly asked. At this moment, the ancient dragon tribe has already descended into a civil war. The three great dragon islands have jointly attacked the eastern dragon island. However, it has ended up in a stalemate because a new dragon emperor has appeared on the eastern dragon island. Moreover, the dragon emperor has summoned back those ancient dragon elders who were training in the empty realm. Their strength has soared. Commander Qin hesitated for a moment, but he finally replied honestly after experiencing Xiao Yan's methods. Has it finally begun? Xiao Yan frowned slightly and sighed quietly in his heart. Yan was not having an easy time at this moment. What is your aim in coming to the 9 Serene Deep Ground Python tribe? Xiao Yan asked. To form an alliance with the 9 Serene Deep Ground Python tribe to deal with the Eastern Dragon Island together. Commander Qin clenched his teeth as he answered. All of you have abandoned the pride of the ancient void dragons. You were planning on seeking external reinforcement to deal with your internal conflict? Xiao Yan's expression changed as he cried out. This is the decision of the 3 great dragon kings. It is not something that we can control. Moreover, the matter of the alliance has already been discussed with the 9 Serene Deep Dragon tribe a long time ago. We are only here to receive their reply this time around. Even if you capture us, there will be others who will come. What other reinforcements has the 3 great dragon kings seeked out other than the 9 Serene Deep Dragon tribe? Xiao Yan was quiet for a moment before suddenly asking. Commander Qin's body immediately tensed upon hearing this question. Speak! Xiao Yan pressed his finger forward, sensing Commander Qin tense up. A deep cry was emitted. They have invited the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. The Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe has already agreed to lend a hand, but they want the 3 great dragon kings to agree to capture and hand the new dragon emperor to them. Commander Qin's heart felt cold after sensing the desire to kill from Xiao Yan's voice. He hurriedly replied, Bastard! Xiao Yan's expression turned gloomy after those words sounded. He had not expected the 3 dragon kings to act this shameless. Not only did they break the rules of the tribe and get other tribes involved in an internal conflict, but they had even promised to hand the dragon emperor of the tribe to their formal enemies, the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. These 3 bastards. Xiao Yan's eyes were dark and dense. He clearly understood that if the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe and the 9 Serene Deep Ground Python were to form an alliance with the 3 great dragon islands, Yan's Eastern Dragon Island would really face imminent danger. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 529, Chapter 1458, Underground Serene Snake Network. Commander Qin's body trembled after seeing Xiao Yan become furious. He hurriedly shut his mouth. It looks like Yan is in a bad situation. Kai Lin hurried forward and spoke with knit brows. Shall we hurry to the empty realm and help them? Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. He shook his head a moment later and said, There is no hurry now. As long as the experts from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe and the 9 Serene Deep Ground Python tribe do not head to the empty realm, Yan should be able to hold on. We need to delay the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe and the 9 Serene Deep Ground Python. Kai Lin gently nodded and ceased speaking upon hearing this plan. After making up his mind within his heart, Xiao Yan once again got some information from Commander Qin's mouth. He was only willing to let the matter rest after Commander Qin no longer had anything to say. Can you now let us off? I have already told you all that you wish to know. Commander Qin weakly spoke. Most of the blood within his body had already been lost. He would really become a cripple if this continued. Xiao Yan indifferently swept his eyes over Commander Qin. His fingers pressed against the air and instantly sealed the Do Qi within the bodies of those few individuals. He waved his sleeve and threw them into a dark gap in the deep abyss. There was a countless number of tunnels in this abyss. Even the 9 Serene Deep Ground Python tribe was unable to clearly tell where every tunnel led. These people were thrown inside with their Do Qi sealed. Whether they survived would depend on their luck. Let's go. We will head to the 9 Serene Spring. Xiao Yan did not remain any longer after dealing with those few people. He waved his hand and took the lead as he rushed deeper underground. Kai Lin, the little fairy doctor, and Kai Lin followed close behind. The terrain of the underground world was extremely complicated, but Xiao Yan's group was already well prepared for their trip. They had procured a detailed map. Hence, within an hour, they had reached the underground world. They traveled around a couple of snake people tribes and finally reached the main area of the 9 Serene deep ground python within half an hour or so, the underground Serene snake network. The underground Serene snake network was where the headquarters of the 9 Serene deep ground python was located. It was a holy site in the hearts of many of the snake tribes. Being a holy site, this underground Serene snake network was naturally well guarded. Even an ordinary snake person would not be able to enter. It is indeed worthy of being one of the 3 big tribes of the magical beast world. There are really many experts within this mountain range. Xiao Yan's group appeared on a hill near the underground Serene snake network. Their eyes looked at the mountain range in the distance as they muttered to themselves. It is unexpected that I am able to see the snake people tribe in this place. Moreover, this size is many times larger than my tribe. Kai Lin was also a little surprised as she looked at the crowded snake people tribes on the plains and exclaimed, "I once read the genealogy of the tribe. My tribe moved to the vast Tager Desert a long time ago, but I do not know if we came from this beast region." Xiao Yan smiled. His eyes slid over the deeper parts of the underground network as he said, "The 9 Serene Spring should be in the deepest part of the underground network, but there are many hidden experts present in that place. There are even some Ban Sheng class experts. It would be a little troublesome if we disturb them, so all of you should hide your auras." Understood. Kai Lin's group nodded after hearing Xiao Yan's orders. The 9 Serene deep ground python was quite strong. Their group had ventured into the other party's territory. Even though Xiao Yan possessed a Do Sheng strength, he would probably not have an easy time if they were discovered. Swish! Xiao Yan waved his sleeve. The space around him quickly became distorted before firmly wrapping around everyone. The space fluctuated and everyone strangely disappeared. The current Xiao Yan had already advanced into a peak-level existence in this world. He could use spatial strength with great proficiency now. He could even walk within the empty realm. Although Xiao Yan was bringing 3 people with him, it did not exhaust him too much. Hence, he shuttled through space and hurried toward the underground Serene snake network. They did not attract any special attention along the way. While Xiao Yan approached the deepest parts of the underground Serene snake network, he sensed the auras of the experts inside becoming stronger. There were even some spiritual perceptions that possessed some doubt when they swept over the space where he hid. It was likely that they had sensed something. Fortunately, these simple sweeps did not expose Xiao Yan's group. With the help of Xiao Yan's spatial abilities, their group narrowly dodged the detection of many experts along the way. They quietly entered the deepest parts of the underground Serene snake network. There was an enormous black abyss in the deepest parts of the underground Serene snake network. This abyss was 1,000 feet wide and appeared bottomless. A shockingly dark and cold aura continued to whiz up from deep below like a gale. An ordinary expert would feel one's blood and do qi freeze if one stood at this spot. The bottom of this deep abyss hid the 9 Serene deep ground python's holy pool, the 9 Serene Spring. It was also the destination of Xiao Yan's group. There were few defenses within the deep abyss because everyone understood that the dark and cold gales that continuously blew from the deep abyss were natural guards. Even Do Zong class experts would not dare to easily venture deep into it. Kai, the air above this place suddenly distorted while a dark and cold wind blew. A couple of figures appeared. They were naturally Xiao Yan's group. Xiao Yan glanced at the deep abyss after appearing. He smiled but did not linger. His sleeve was waved once again, and a dense spatial force wrapped around the group. It forcefully broke through the extremely cold gale and rushed to the bottom of that black abyss. The abyss was extremely deep. Even with Xiao Yan's speed, he only managed to see the ground of the abyss after around 10 minutes or so. An extremely huge lake appeared in his eyes as he approached the ground. A dark and chilly aura that could freeze the do qi within one's body spread from it. The lake was extremely huge. The water in it was deep yellow. There seemed to be traces of a fresh blood-like luster flowing within this deep yellow color. Wisps of pale yellow vapor mixed with the faint blood and then seeped out of it. Finally, the vapor rose and whizzed to the sky. This is the legendary 9 Serene Spring. Xiao Yan sighed in relief after looking at the yellow lake. He slowly approached it. He was able to sense an obscure dark and cold energy entering his body the closer he got to the 9 Serene Spring. This place is too dark and chilly. Even 9 serene deep-ground pythons will not be able to endure this for long. Hence, no one will come to this place unless there is a special circumstance. This gives us sufficient time. Little fairy doctor softly spoke. She was a great distance from the lake. The dark and cold force in this place caused even her to feel extremely terrible. Xiao Yan nodded. He finally stopped beside the 9 Serene spring and bent down. His hand touched the lake, only to immediately hear a sizzling sound. A deep yellow icy crystal began to swiftly climb up his arm. It is indeed strong. No wonder even teacher has said that he is unable to reach the bottom of this spring. Xiao Yan was slightly startled after sensing how terrifying the dark and cold force of this 9 Serene spring was. His heavenly flame began to circulate within his body. It finally seeped out and quickly melted the ice layer. Kai Lin, I will enter the bottom of the spring and obtain the spring blood crystal. You should enter the spring once I succeed. I will help guard you. Xiao Yan swung his fist, turned his head, and spoke to Kai Lin beside him. Only Xiao Yan and Kai Lin were able to approach this spring among their group. Xiao Yan was able to approach it because of his strength and the heavenly flame, while Kai Lin could naturally approach it because of her constitution. You should be careful. Just pull back if you cannot do it. Kai Lin slightly nodded and worried about him in a grave voice. The dark and cold force of this 9 Serene spring was too frightening. It was difficult to imagine that such an extreme cold could exist in this world. She had initially doubted Yao Lao when she heard him say that this place could allow her to advance to a 9-colored heaven-swallowing python. However, now she understood that this was a real possibility. Xiao Yan nodded. He was currently a genuine Do Sheng, with 4 types of heavenly flame guarding him. He did not believe that he would not be able to resist the 9 Serene Springs' dark and chilly force. All of you should hide yourselves while I am in the 9 Serene Spring to avoid being discovered by others. Xiao Yan once again spoke to the little fairy doctor's group behind him. Without wasting any time, a rich heavenly flame began to swiftly seep out of a countless number of pores on his body. A frightening high temperature made contact with the cold vapor, and a white fog began to erupt in all directions. Splash! Xiao Yan softly sighed with a grave expression after summoning the heavenly flame. His body moved, and he charged into the 9 Serene spring. After which, he rushed to the bottom of the spring with lightning-like speed. Sizzle, sizzle! A white smoke rose after Xiao Yan leapt into the 9 Serene spring. Gurgling bubbles continued to appear. Clearly, this was a result of the heavenly flame. Kai Lin beckoned with her hand and scattered that white smoke pillar. She only sighed in relief after the smoke ceased appearing. Her pretty eyes landed on the little fairy doctor and Qing Lin as she said, "We should hide ourselves first and discuss what to do after Xiao Yan comes out." The little fairy doctor and Qing Lin nodded after hearing his words. Both of their bodies flashed as they hurried into the surrounding darkness. Their auras were also suppressed. Kai Lin also withdrew into the darkness by the side after seeing the little fairy doctor and Qing Lin hide. The area around the 9 Serene Yellow Spring once again became completely silent. The occasional sound of rushing wind appeared in the sky far above. Fortunately, no one ventured into the deep abyss to probe. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 530. Chapter 1459, Kai. A figure flashed through the muddled yellow lake with lightning-like speed. Flames lingered around the figure. Each time a flame made contact with the surrounding water, it would emit a series of sizzling sound. It is indeed worthy of being the 9 Serene Spring. The dark and cold force that it contains is frightening. Xiao Yan's body swiftly rushed toward the bottom of the spring. A solemn expression gradually surfaced on his face at the same time. The dark and cold force contained within the 9 Serene Springs seemed as though it could freeze Do Qi. Xiao Yan still felt his limbs go numb even with his heavenly flame protecting him. The churning Do Qi circulating around his body began to show signs of becoming sluggish. Looks like I need to increase my speed. This is not a place I can stay for long. Using the heavenly flame to resist the dark and cold force exhausted Xiao Yan's Do Qi. Although Xiao Yan had advanced to the Do Shen class and was able to control natural energy, the dark and cold force that filled this spring was unimaginable. Moreover, Xiao Yan was unable to control or absorb this energy. Xiao Yan's body moved faster after this thought flashed across his heart. His speed soared once again as a deep water trail was created behind as he swam. The water only began to surge and refill after he passed, covering the trail he had made in the process. The heavenly flame wildly leapt as Xiaoyan ventured deeper into the Nine Serene Spring. While he ventured deeper, the dark and cold force grew a couple of times over. In the end, Xiaoyan had to use all of his strength to circulate his dou qi and scatter the cold qi that had invaded his body. I wonder just how deep this Nine Serene Spring is. If this continues on, I can only turn around and head back. Xiaoyan looked at the bottom of the lake, which was completely dark. He slightly knit his brow. He needed to make sure he had enough dou qi for the journey back. The dark and cold force within this Nine Serene Springs seemed to possess a special dou qi erosion effect. If he was not isolated by the heavenly flame, it would have been difficult for Xiaoyan to reach this spot. Hiss hiss. A faint yet unusual sound was transmitted into Xiaoyan's ear while he was feeling troubled by this Nine Serene Spring. He suddenly sensed the water behind him rapidly compress. Bang! Xiaoyan suddenly threw a punch behind him when the flow of water increased. The frightening force on his fist used a special method to penetrate the water flow and ruthlessly smash into a black figure, blasting the figure apart in the process. It is unexpected that there are living creatures in this Nine Serene Spring. Surprise flashed across Xiaoyan's eyes as he glanced at the living creature. It had been blasted into a cluster of blood. The dark and cold force in this lake was such that even a Nine Serene deep-ground python could not endure for long, much less live in it for a prolonged period of time. Hiss hiss. Before Xiaoyan could dive again after blasting apart that black figure, he suddenly sensed more water had begun to fluctuate. A black fog quickly filled the edges of his sight. Xiaoyan's expression drastically changed upon seeing this black fog. It was not a true, black fog. Instead, this black fog was made up of a countless number of strange black snakes with unusual scales. The hissing sound was being emitted from these strange snakes. Chi chi! These strange snakes widened their ferocious mouths while they were still a great distance away from Xiaoyan. Many deep black water arrows shot out of their mouths. The lake water split apart when these water arrows touched it, causing the speed of the water arrows to increase. The buzzing sound of arrows rushing forward shook the surrounding lake water until it emitted a deep explosive sound. What a dark and chilly energy! Xiaoyan glanced at the dark black water arrows and frowned. These water arrows were similar to the dark and chilly force of the Nine Serene Spring, but they possessed an even greater destructive force. A strange place will ultimately form some strange things. Xiaoyan suddenly recalled the magma world under the Jianan Academy as this thought flashed through his heart. That underground world was populated by a mysterious creature that no one in the outside world knew about. Moreover, there was an extremely frightening number of those creatures. I must not get entangled with these strange things. Otherwise, I will exhaust too much dou qi. Xiaoyan's body moved. His speed suddenly rose as he turned into lightning that tore through the lake. It quickly rushed to the bottom of the Nine Serene Spring, but those strange black snakes swiftly turned as Xiaoyan made escape. They gave chase from all directions. Kai! Xiaoyan swiftly unleashed his strength to the limit. Even though he was deep underwater, his frightening speed still created after images along the way. These after images were then penetrated by the tons of water arrows being shot over from behind. What troublesome things! These strange snakes continued to follow Xiaoyan like maggots in his bones regardless of how he increased his speed. Finally, his expression became chilly. He glanced behind before clenching his hand. A cluster of flames appeared in it. He then tossed the flames back before they soared. The flames turned into a fire cloud that spread apart. Hiss hiss. The fire cloud then spread into a sea of fire. Even though the dark and cold force could not be destroyed, those strange snakes still ended up colliding with the sea of fire due to them failing to stop in time. The high temperature incinerated all of the strange snakes that collided with it in an instant. Hiss hiss. Those strange snakes began to reveal a horror when they sensed this frightening fire. After a large group of them died, they finally stopped and did not dare to advance. They stayed back and continuously shot black water arrows from a distance to slowly extinguish the sea of flames. While these strange snakes were trying their best to extinguish the flames, Xiaoyan moved and hurried down. Finally, he shook them off. This Nine Serene Spring is indeed not an ordinary place. Those strange snakes are not very powerful, but their dark and cold water arrows are too ferocious. Even an elite Ban Sheng would feel terrible if struck by one. Xiao Yan sighed in relief after escaping those troublesome things. His eyes swept the area below, only to discover that a glow had appeared. He braced his attention and increased his speed. A moment later, he finally appeared at the glowing spot. Is this the bottom of the 9 Serene Spring? An extremely large sandy surface appeared in front of Xiao Yan. Countless fist-sized rock fragments lay on the ground. A luster was flickering from these rock fragments. The glow being given off was the reason why the bottom of the lake appeared relatively bright. The 9 Serene Spring should extend deep underground. If I venture deep into it, even I will turn into ice. Xiao Yan scanned the area as he slowed down. He began to search for the so-called spring blood crystal, but he was surprised to learn that he wasn't able to find any spring blood crystal no matter where he looked. There are no spring blood crystals here. Could they have all been taken by the 9 Serene deep ground python? Xiao Yan's expression became a little ugly after his long search came to naught. He had spent a great amount of effort in order to arrive at this place. Would he have to return empty-handed? Ah! Rescue me! An extremely faint moan suddenly pierced through the water and entered Xiao Yan's ears just as he was frowning. Who? Xiao Yan's expression suddenly changed after hearing this faint voice. Do Qi erupted from his body with a bang. His eyes cautiously roamed around his surroundings. There was someone else down here? Why was it that he had not sensed anything? However, that voice completely disappeared when Xiao Yan focused his mind and waited for it. It was as though everything he had heard earlier was an illusion. Could it be that I misheard? Xiao Yan slightly frowned. However, his heart understood that it was impossible to mishear things at his level. He lowered his head slowly and landed on the sand. After briefly hesitating, he suddenly clenched his hand in front of him. Clash! A palm print formed on the sandy ground after Xiao Yan reached out with his hand. A 1,000-foot large metal chain was suddenly exposed to Xiao Yan's eyes while the sandy rocks rolled. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes after seeing this extremely large metal chain appear. He grabbed with his hand and the metal chain was slowly pulled out. After which, the ground also began to shake before another 3 metal chains rose from the ground. These metal chains were connected to a mountain-like outcropping. It was impossible to move it with a tug. Xiao Yan's eyes was unconcerned about where the metal chains connected to. His eyes stared at the middle of the 4 chains. There was a large cluster of black mud there. Xiao Yan waved his hand as he studied the cluster of mud. The mud was scattered in the process. The thing inside was exposed after the mud scattered. It was a person whose body was dry and shriveled like a skeleton. What a powerful aura this person has. It is likely an elite Do Sheng whose strength has reached the 3rd star. Why was he locked in this place? Xiao Yan muttered. Shock flashed across his eyes as he looked at the skeleton-like human figure. Save me, save me, save me, and I will get the entire 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe to be your subordinate. The shriveled human figure suddenly opened both of his eyes while Xiao Yan was looking over him. Those eyes were a little crazy as they stared at Xiao Yan. A hoarse roar rippled across the bottom of this spring. It appeared like the cry of a ghost, chilling one's heart in the process. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 531. Chapter 1460. Yao Ming. Xiao Yan frowned as he studied the shriveled human figure. The figure struggled within the restraints of the metal chains. It was a long while later before Xiao Yan asked, "Who are you? Why have you been trapped here?" Who? The skeleton-like human figure had exhausted a great amount of strength during the struggle earlier and had begun to pant. Xiao Yan could sense an extremely dark and cold energy being emitted from those 4 large metal chains, exhausting the figure's Do Qi. This caused the figure to remain in an extremely weak state, but it would not hurt his life. All this figure could do was live on the edge of his last breath amid this everlasting exhaustion. Whoever trapped this fellow is really ruthless. This is even more vicious than directly killing him. Surprise flashed across Xiao Yan's heart. It was unexpected that he had stumbled across such a mysterious thing at the bottom of the 9 Serene Spring. I am the tribe chief of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe, Yao Ming. Ellipsis quote. That skeleton-like human figure caught his breath for a moment before finally replying to Xiao Yan's question. His voice was extremely hoarse. It was like a rock was scratching glass, an extremely ear-piercing noise. Rescue me. As long as you rescue me, I will agree to any condition you propose. The person who called himself Yao Ming stared at Xiao Yan with pleading eyes as he pleaded aloud. The tribe chief of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe? Xiao Yan frowned but remained unaffected by the plea. He replied in a faint voice, "From what I know, the tribe chief of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe should be someone called Yao Shaotan, right? That awful, that bastard. He is the one who used an evil scheme to snatch my position and sealed me at the bottom of this 9 Serene spring. Ah, that bastard. He has made me suffer simmering in this dark and cold force for centuries. If I am lucky to see the sky again, I, Yao Ming, will ensure he suffers a fate worse than death." Yao Ming's eyes immediately turned blood red after the name Yao Shaoxin entered his ears. An endless hatred surged within his eyes. His crazy roar continued to reverberate around the bottom of the spring. Xiao Yan was quietly speechless upon hearing this cry. This fellow had been sealed in this place for centuries. This fate was indeed quite pitiful. The dark and cold force of the 9 Serene spring was just like sharp blades as it invaded one's body. That piercing pain was something that an ordinary person could not endure. Yet this person in front of him had suffered this bitterness for centuries. Even Xiao Yan involuntarily shook his head after learning this information. "Can you tell me about the relationship between you and that Yao Shaoxin?" Xiao Yan spread his hands and asked. "I am Yao Shaoxin's elder brother by blood." Yao Ming hesitated for a moment before speaking in a hoarse tone. "I should have been the true successor as the tribe chief of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe. Many of the elders in the tribe favored me. It would normally have been impossible for Yao Shaoxin to be the tribe chief. He also understood this in his heart. Hence, he was usually extremely respectful to me, but he was secretly brewing an evil plot. He first poisoned me and then attacked me when my strength declined. Finally, he sealed me at the bottom of this 9 Serene spring. Why did he not simply just kill you? That would save him a lot of trouble." Xiao Yan asked. "That is because he does not even wish for my death to be easy. Ha ha, this brother of mine really treats me unusually well." Yao Ming could not help but break into a hoarse laughter after reaching this last sentence. His laughter was filled with his misery and his fury. Xiao Yan was quiet. Xiao Ding and Xiao Li were willing to sacrifice their lives to protect him. Hence, he couldn't even imagine how these two, who were brothers, ended up hating each other so much. "You wish for me to rescue you? You should understand that Yao Shaoxin is currently the clan head of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe. He will definitely be able to maneuver many elders. Your fate will probably not be good once you appear." Xiao Yan remarked. "I have the 9 Serene profound stick. This is a keepsake of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe's chief. Only the true tribe chief can hold it. Once I escape and finish off Yao Shaoxin, I will be the new tribe chief. The other elders will not dare to attack me." Yao Ming hurriedly explained. "What is your strength like? How strong is that Yao Shaoxin?" Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes and asked. "I was merely an intermediate-level Ban Shen when I was sealed here. Simmering in the spring for centuries might have caused me to suffer an endless bitterness, but it has also allowed my strength to soar. I have reached the 2nd star of the Do Shen class. If I am allowed to see sky again, the Do Qi within my body will quickly recover and reach its peak state." Yao Ming said. "Moreover, Yao Shaoxin was merely at the peak of the Do Zun class while I was a Ban Sheng back then. With his talent, he has likely reached a 1-star Do Sheng strength after so many years, but he has a trusted aide. It is the first elder of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe. According to my guesses, this elder should also possess the strength of a 1-star Do Sheng by now. Back then, this old dog had also aided Yao Shaoxin in seriously injuring and sealing me. 2 1-star Do Shengs? Xiao Yan's heart felt slightly shocked upon hearing this strength. This 9 Serene deep-ground python really did possess a strong foundation. It was possible to name 2 genuine elite Do Shengs in the tribe. If one were to add this Yao Ming to the mix, there was a total of 3 of Do Shengs. Such strength was indeed worthy of being present in one of the 3 largest tribes in the magical beast world. The thing that surprised Xiao Yan was that this Yao Ming was not as powerful as he had expected. This was perhaps due to his physical body. A magical beast was ultimately a little different from a human. My greatest obstruction are these 2 people. The 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe will be controlled by me once they are eradicated. Young friend, you will be my savior. I, Yao Ming, Might not be a kind and friendly person, but I keep my word. Once I control the 9 Serene deep ground python tribe, I will try my best to help fulfill any request you make. Yao Ming. His eyes glittered as he looked at Xiao Yan and spoke in a deep voice. Xiao Yan clenched his fist under his sleeve, but he did not immediately reply. His eyes flashed. He had been thinking of a method to break the alliance of the 3 Dragon Islands and had also thought about finding some external parties to help Ziyan ever since he heard what had happened. However, he had not come up with a good idea no matter how hard he thought. After all, the 9 Serene deep ground python tribe was not a faction that the profound sky sect could compare with. This tribe possessed a great strength. He might be able to fight with this tribe if he called some experts over from the alliance, but it would undoubtedly be a little difficult if Xiao Yan tried to handle this by himself. Xiao Yan had also heard about Yao Shaoshan. This person had indeed used all sorts of schemes to achieve his aims. He was also cold and ruthless. He was only concerned about what he could gain. Given his character, he would definitely agree to an alliance with the 3 Dragon Islands to fight against Ziyan's Eastern Dragon Island, but only if he gained a lot. At that time, Ziyan would face many opponents. Even though she had an extremely rare Dragon Phoenix constitution, she would not be able to handle all of them. However, if this Yao Ming could really gain control of the 9 Serene deep ground python tribe, it would undoubtedly ruin the schemes of the 3 great Dragon Islands. Losing such reinforcement would undoubtedly be a great blow to them. I cannot trust you. This thought flashed within Xiao Yan's mind for a moment before he finally lifted his head. He looked at Yao Ming, and slowly shook his head. He knew too little about this Yao Ming. He was unable to comprehend Yao Ming's character. If this person had become an ungrateful fellow after being rescued and ended up biting him, he would really end up feeling a great injustice. Hearing Xiao Yan utter these words, Yao Ming widened his mouth, but he was unable to say anything. He would not be able to get Xiao Yan to trust him after they had just met. However, there is still a way to get me to rescue you. I can even help you snatch back your position as tribe chief after rescuing you. However, there is a condition. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. He stared intently at Yao Ming. As he uttered his proposition, you will release your soul and allow me to place a spiritual imprint in it. If you lie to me, I will detonate the spiritual seal. At that time, you will definitely be seriously injured even if you are an elite Do Sheng. Your strength will remain stagnant. Yao Ming's expression changed slightly after hearing this idea. This was equivalent to handing his life to another. I can only trust you if you do this. If you refuse, I will simply turn around and leave immediately. Honestly speaking, I really do not wish to get involved in this mess. Xiao Yan explained in a deep voice. Yao Ming tightly clenched his teeth. His eyes continuously flickered. His character was such that he did not wish to be restrained by another, but the fury and hatred in his heart swelled the moment he thought of the bitterness he had suffered over the hundreds of years. He quickly clenched his teeth and let out a low roar. All right, we will do as you say. I can no longer endure the hatred in my heart. I must tear that bastard into thousands of pieces. All right, Xiao Yan joyously cried out after hearing that Yao Ming had actually agreed to his proposal. Who? Yao Ming inhaled a deep breath of air. A flicker flashed over his brow and an invisible spiritual strength surged out. Finally, it formed a large black snake in front of him. Xiao Yan smiled after watching Yao Ming take the initiative to summon his soul. His mind moved and a hint of a heated soul swiftly shot forth before it quickly invaded the forehead of that black giant snake. The snake's body violently trembled the moment that spiritual imprint entered. The snake quickly scattered and returned to Yao Ming's brow. Xiao Yan could sense Yao Ming's spiritual fluctuation the moment his soul returned to his brow. All Xiao Yan needed was a thought and the spiritual imprint, which contained the strength of a heavenly flame, would explode and shatter Yao Ming's soul into pieces. That's right, I've come to this 9 Serene spring to find a spring blood crystal. Do you know where that thing is? Xiao Yan smiled and asked after resolving this trouble. The spring blood crystal is very rare even in the 9 Serene spring. Normally speaking, it requires 1,000 years before a palm-sized piece will form. I have swallowed these things during these few hundred years. Yao Ming hesitated for a moment after hearing this question. He suddenly widened his mouth and a blood light rushed out. Finally, this blood light stopped in front of Xiao Yan. The light was a palm-sized blood-colored crystal. The middle of the crystal seemed to possess an endless flowing blood, giving it an exceptionally strange appearance. Is this the spring blood crystal? Xiao Yan softly muttered as he studied the blood crystal with its strangeness. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.